Good morning. Hello, good morning. Good morning. We almost started we have started the vulnerability assessment where we said what is the vulnerability assessment. I think a lot of people answered that question, contributed to that question. So vulnerability assessment is people are joining also. Okay, so vulnerability assessment is an examination of ability of a system or application. This includes current security procedure and controls to withstand assault. That is as the meaning of vulnerability assessment. It is recognize a measure and classifies security vulnerability in a computer system network and the communication channel. So vulnerability assessment may be used to what? To identify weaknesses that could be exploited. We did mention that vulnerability is a weakness. You check where the weaknesses is, and if there are weaknesses there, you amend it. That's why we are saying vulnerability assessment identify the weakness that could be exploited, meaning what can where the penetration can be done by the outsiders. So vulnerability assessment may be used to identify weaknesses that could be exploited. Okay, predict the effectiveness of additional security measures in protecting information resource from attack. Actually, we are here to protect the information from attack. So, uh, so the assessment should be there so that you ensure that you see people who may attack you, you may see the loopholes so that you seal those loopholes. Because if you seal the loopholes, you are home and dry. So, vulnerability assessment is to identify the weaknesses, where which area is vulnerable, including when you are looking for a woman. A woman, if there are a lot of vulnerabilities, vulnerable, if he's vulnerable or are vulnerable. To avoid those issues of being troubled by men, you need to seal the loopholes, you seal the weaknesses, you identify where the weaknesses is, and then you seal those weaknesses that could be exploited by a man. Okay, any queries there? Let us look at, if there is no queries, let us look at types of vulnerability assessment. There are different type of vulnerability assessment. So let us look at that so that we see the types of vulnerability assessment. So there are types. So types of vulnerability assessment, we have active assessment. These users use a network scanner to find host, service, and vulnerability. Here we are looking at the network. This is active vulnerability. So you scan your network and see where vulnerability is, and so that you see it. The other one is passive assessment. Passive assessment, a technique used to sniff the network traffic to find out active system, network service, application, and vulnerability presence. So you sniff you use the tools which you use sniffers to sniff whether your system is okay or the network is okay. The other one is host-based assessment, which determines the vulnerability in a specific workstation or server. So this one will check whether the server is okay, are there any weaknesses, and then it reviews. The other one is internal assessment. You check even inside. A technique key to scan the internal infrastructure to find out the exploitation and vulnerability. So you scan even your network within inside and see where the exploitation can be taken place. External assessment, you assess the network from hackers' point of view to find out what exploit and the vulnerability are accessible to outside as well. The other one is application assessment. You test the web infrastructure for any misconfiguration and known vulnerability. This one you have to be very, very careful whenever you are installing something on your PC. You ensure that you install the correct application, and you see if there is any configuration. Are the configuration okay? Are the configuration done according? So if there is a misconfiguration, you need to work on that. We have network assessment, which determine the possible network security attack that may occur on the organization system. So you check that. Wireless network assessment also, you should determine the vulnerability in an organization where wireless is concerned. So, wireless network is a different network where you put a word where every human jack can access that wireless. Are you going to give whoever want to connect username and password? How are you going to do it? We should assess. If we leave it open, the outsiders going to attack us. For example, I come all the way from Quito there, the wireless is open, and then I just connect. Okay, any queries there? Any my phones over there? Okay, I can't see anyone who want to learn, although you are still, maybe you are not still in gear. Okay, let us continue. Okay, network vulnerability assessment method. There are different methodology, network vulnerability assessment. So we are now going to tackle this network vulnerability assessment methodology. Phase one, accusation. So you have to collect document required. These people who are joining, you guys, you should be joining early so that we admit you at the goal. So network vulnerability assessment methodology. So phase one, accusation, collect document required. Review law and procedure related to network vulnerability. You have to ensure you do that. Identify and review document related to network security. Review the list of previously discovered vulnerability. So ensure that you do that because it's very, very important you do that. Phase two, in phase two, you have to ensure that, just a minute. In phase two, you have to conduct interview with customer and employee involved in the system architecture, design, and administration. Gather technical information about network component, identify different industry standard, what is on the market, what is there. You should do that. And then in phase three, you have to analyze whatever you have collected, you have to analyze, review, interview, analyze results of previous vulnerability, analyze security vulnerability, and identify risk. So there is accusation. There is the identification, accusation, that is phase one. Identification, that's phase two. And then analyzing whatever you have corrected. As you can see, this diagram, accusation, after accusation, what are you accusing? The document, the procedures, the assessment, document related to what networks, security, and then you identify. hmm, You identify, meaning you conduct the interview, gather technical information, and then thereafter you analyze it. Okay. Okay, let us look at the network vulnerability continues. We have phase five, where you phase four, you have to determine the probability of exploitation of identified vulnerability. So how are they going to exploit that vulnerability? And then identify the gap existing between existing and require security measures. So see the gap. When you identify there is a problem there and see the gap, and measures, what measures are you, is it required for you to work on that? The other one is determine the control required to mitigate the identified vulnerability. Okay, and then identify, upgrade if required to the network vulnerability assessment process, ensure that you upgrade. Phase five, the result of analysis must be presented in the draft report to evaluate for further variation. Report should contain tasks rendered by each team, method used to find, general specification. All these we are supposed to do it as a person is in charge of security in an organization. Vulnerabilities research, this is the process of discovering vulnerability and design flow that will open an operating system and application to attack misuse. Vulnerability are classified based on, say, several medium. We have medium and we have large or high exploit range, local remote. Okay, otherwise you can just go through there. There is also vulnerability research website. You can use those. You can visit my website and try to read some of the things. There is Microsoft vulnerability. There is CSC magazine. You can read this. You can just type www.ecouncil.org, or you can say www.hackastore.co.uk and check all these. All these you can read something there so that you understand these. Any queries before we go to penetration testing? Penetration testing. What is penetration testing? What is penetration testing? If I may pose that question. What is that word penetration? Penetration testing. Who can try? I can see Sibereki, Gemini. Hey, do I have this student? Try Sibereki. Say something. I can see you and penetration testing.
So
Don't want to
I'm
talk.
okay on phase one acquisition.
I'm asking a question on penetration testing. Abby,
Penetration testings. Is a method of evaluating the security of an information system by simulating an attacker to find out a vulnerability that an attacker can exploit.
Okay, perfect. Who else? Makofi? Makofi.
To my own understanding, penetration testing, this is a way in which you evaluate the system's vulnerability to check the vulnerabilities that can be exploited by an attacker.
Okay. George?
Penetration testing is simply the method that is being used by ethical hackers to find out vulnerabilities in a system or a network that could be exploited by an attacker.
Okay. Mary, Maria, I saw your hand.
It's the process of evaluating the security of an information system to see if there are any vulnerabilities in the information system.
Okay, I saw a Reno. Is it Renos or something like that? I saw your hand.
Yes, sir. It is a security exercise where a cybersecurity expert attempts to find and exploit vulnerabilities in a computer system.
Okay, that is good. Okay, thank you very much. Before we go there, someone said he didn't. These things you just read, it's not so much. She talked about what? She talked about what did you say you didn't understand, madam? On acquisition. Acquisition is just a simple thing that is corrected document required to what? To review laws. Each and every organization or wherever you go, there are laws and procedure which are supposed to be related to that. So you are supposed to get that document and review those laws, and you see how it is. Identify and review document related to network security, anything to do with network security. You review, you check, review the list of previously discovery vulnerability. For example, if you see a vulnerability, you you are not just supposed to, when you see you identify a vulnerability, you should and you document that vulnerability. After you document, here they are talking of reviewed of previously discovery of vulnerability. If there was any vulnerability which was there, you read using the document. That's the meaning of accusation. Have I made myself clear, madam? Is it madam or sir? Sibekere, are you there?
Yes,
Sibeki,
I've gotten it, sir.
are you clear? Is it okay?
Yes, I'm
Okay,
clear.
okay. So that is accusation. We are supposed to start the penetration testing, where a lot of people have contributed. Lovely. I like your sentiment here and there. So please let us do this. Try to list this website. They are important. Ensure that you list that. So penetration testing. Penetration testing is the method of evaluating the security of an information system or network by simulating an attack to find out vulnerability that an attacker could exploit. So you pretend to be an attacker, you try to pretend to be an attacker, and then you simulate. That's why they are saying simulating an attacker to find out vulnerability. So you behave like one, so that you see the vulnerability of the system. The reason why we are simulating, we are behaving as an attacker, we want to ensure that we get the or to discover vulnerability of a particular system or information system or network. Okay. Security measures are actively analyzing for designing weaknesses, technical flaw, and vulnerability. So you check. So a penetration testing will not only point out vulnerability, but to also document how the weaknesses can be exploited. So despite you can do that, ensure that you document. That's why they are saying penetration testing will not only point out vulnerability, but will also document how the weaknesses can be exploited. So you document so that you can. Why do we document these things? Why do we document? Why? Past. Why do we document? Okay, George.
For future reference, sir.
Okay, perfect. I see Sivereki. I saw your voice.
I,
We are not getting you, madam. Is it madam or sir? Sivereki,
I was on the same point, sir. Thank you.
are you a man already? Okay, Mary Chanda.
For record keeping,
Record keeping. You are not clear. Polish up your answer. Madam
so
Mary,
we keep
polish.
it using for record keeping so that you can use it for future reference, like George said.
Okay, but I wanted you to go deeper. Okay, I saw the hand from Arinat Angomba. I can see your hand. Unfortunately,
Sir,
I just saw you joining. Yes?
yeah, sir, I'm just trying. Can it be for legal reasons?
No.
No.
You've just joined, you are confused.
Oh, sorry.
You are confused. Have you seen me join us? You are not with us. Eh? Eh? Okay, Lapson.
I think, sir, we can just document the vulnerabilities in such a way that even if you are attacked at a later time, you can see if it is the same cause which are just causing you to be attacked, or the point where the hackers are entered.
Okay, that's good. Sydney Ngurube. Sydney. Sydney, you don't want to talk. That hand was just proposing.
Oh, sir. No, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. So I think it allows the security team to like keep track of the investigation or process.
Somehow, but polish up your answer. Polish up your answer. You are speaking, you are just. Okay, Makofi.
Why record keeping? We keep records for future use in instance, for instance, where there are system. Once you recorded the vulnerabilities which it had, so that you work on them for it to become reliable.
Okay, it is okay. It is okay, but okay, that's good. All of you, I like your answers. So the results are delivered comprehensively in a report to executive management and technical audience. So you keep that. Why penetration testing? Why do we penetrate? Why do we do penetration testing? Why? I'm asking you guys. This is simple. You have even answered. Hmm? George, King George.
So we do penetration testing, or our aim is to find out the vulnerabilities and the threats that the organization is facing.
Okay. Howard Musakanya. Howard.
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Did I raise my hand?
Yeah, I can see. Even your phone,
Ah,
they are able to see your hand. What is
ah,
happening?
it's a mistake.
Okay. Then ensure that you drop your hand.
Yes, yes, sir.
Mary, I can see your hand there.
Asa, to know the patches that we need to put in the system of the organization.
Okay. Elvis Okontwe. Howard, your hand is still up.
So to identify any weak spot in the system defense, which an attacker could take advantage of.
Okay, Lawrence.
Sir, it's not answering the question, but if possible, you can tell us the reason why when they do penetration test and find out the vulnerabilities, why do they document? I didn't hear you doing what's this clearing up the thing when people were answering.
Okay. Abby. Abby, if you don't hear me, Lawrence, please, those answers are good. You can just choose one from those. Meaning I can mark you. Eh? Get one answer from those variety answers which those people gave. If the answers are not okay, you remember I was telling Mary to polish up her answer when there is not nine. So out of that, Howard, why do you like raising your hand? What do you want? Hey, Howard Musakani,
Yes, sir.
you are
Ah, it's a
confused.
mistake.
What
Eh?
mistake? Na number mistake. You can't. You don't know how
Ene
to do it.
telefoni.
Hello, bash telephone. Now you bashupa. Eh?
Sir.
But the hand is still on. So
Mm,
the hand. Bacha drop. Okay, okay. But don't tell anyone.
it's a big machine.
So let's see. You answer your question as we go to that. This parent. Why? Answer will come. Okay, why do we do penetration testing? Why do we document? We document for future use. We document to ensure that we see, for example, you had a problem. You can compare that problem and the problem which we have at present. You can refer. Oh, we had this attack. If Mara for we had an attack which came via this server. What happened? So you have already documented how the attack was and now was what happened, where it started. So you can reference to that. And when you see a similar attack, a similar vulnerability, you can say, this vulnerability made us to be attacked. It was there and I documented. That's why we do keep the documentation in SAP. We keep documentation for reference. To remember, I think we did this. How did you handle that vulnerability? Instead of wasting time moving up and down, you just refer to what you did to that attack. How do you handle that attack? How do you came back to how do you recover to that attack? So you just refer to that. If it is a similar attack, it's better to refer to what you went through, and it will be easier for you to identify or to protect the system. Are you clear, sir? Bashirole.
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's why we do that. Documentation is very, very important. Whatever you do, how do you handle? How you handled that issue? How did you resolve that issue? So it will be easy if the similar attack is happened. And if you see vulnerability, you remember, this vulnerability made us dance. How did you sort out that vulnerability after identifying that vulnerability? How did you handle that? You can just say, oh, we handled it like this. Even now, there is a document on the shelf. You just pull that documentation and you see how you handled that attack. Is it clear, sir?
Sure, sir.
Yeah. Imo kagero nga kali michemo alita document mu mutwe ba Lawrence. Naka mistake yarengera uti bamishe kuli kala kagero kala mafaire mwake ukche ba Lawrence. Mwate document. So nga myself akameri. It's quite easier. You remember, this problem ina reach the handle. Banani badinshire balabagero. I think he made it a change because this none. So you won't lose out. You ukasavika story kameri kakusumina wangwa. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Because you went through that. You have been through that and you handled that. If maybe someone who it would be easier for you to say, I think na bomfeshe style ya hivi. Ushina na leshte angry lion filafini. Ushina leshte film. You tackle that to win Mary. Is it clear?
Sure, sir.
Okay. Having said that, let us proceed. So why penetration testing me? You have answered a lot of questions. We are saying to identify the threat facing an organization information asset, because those are threats from outsiders. So the reason why we do penetration testing is definitely to what? To identify threats faced by an organization's information asset. The other one is to reduce an organization's expenditure on IT security and hence return on security investment. ROSI, that is the return on security investment, by identifying and remediating vulnerability and weaknesses. So you find that if those vulnerability identified quickly, you don't you find that there will be less expenditure because nothing has remember when you attacked there are a lot of resources which may be required, maybe to buy some of the things, because you have been attacked. There will be a loss of business when you are attacked in a issue. So to reduce that, to do that, you do penetration testing in order to reduce an organization expenditure on IT security and hence return on investment. So the other one is to provide assurance with comprehensive assessment of organization security, including policy, procedure, design, and implementation. The reason again why we do that is to maintain certification to industry regulation, so that you do maintenance, you maintain certification to that. Because if there is a vulnerability, to patch it, you have gained maintenance certificate to an industry regulation. You are abiding to industry regulation. Adopt best practice in compliance to legal and industry regulation when you do penetration testing. For testing and validating the efficiency of security protection control. So when you do penetration testing, you are doing that. The other part is for change. What have I done? The other part is for changing or upgrading existing infrastructure of software, hardware, and network. So when you see vulnerability, what do? You upgrade. There's an upgrade which you are supposed to do if the system is running on the maybe expired whatever. You can upgrade it. Sometimes you can even upgrade the hardware and even network design. The other one is focus on high severity, vulnerability, and emphasize application level security issues to develop a team and management. The other one is to provide, okay, you can lead and lead and lead. I may bring a question in the air if you may promise you. Can I promise you? Can you write this? Why penetration testing? If I ask that question, can you write something? Hey, I'm asking you. Can you write something?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Can I bring one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Adding it, can you answer?
Yes, sir, I can.
Iwe. Mtu asuka iwe. Angomba.
Yes, sir, it's Angola.
Angoba. Okay, whatever. Angoba. Can you answer?
Yes, sir, definitely.
Can you agree I bring something there? Eh? Evans, can you agree I bring something? Ine ndeta utwa chave chave. Now kwa ndera ndono kwa definition. Evans. Okay, let us continue. That is the reasons why we do penetration testing. It's up to you to read now on those. Okay. So comparing security audit, vulnerability assessment, and audit, you know, security audit, vulnerability assessment, and the penetration testing. Remember, we are talking of comparing auditing, vulnerability, and penetration testing. So I want you to pay much attention on this one. If I want, I can differentiate the following. Or what is the difference? What is the difference between security audit, vulnerability assessment, and penetration testing? Okay. Security audit. A security audit just check whether the organization is following a set of standard security policy and procedure. So when you see the auditors, they just follow that. They just want you to, they come there to audit to check whether they are following standard policy and procedure. To everything there is rules. So when they come to your system, they just follow to check on standard and security procedure, policy and procedure. Full stop. Number two, vulnerability assessment. Vulnerability assessment focus on discovering the vulnerability in the information system. So there, have you seen the difference? There, it is security policy procedure, which they, when they are auditing, they are checking whether the standard security policy and procedure, if they are followed. Here, vulnerability assessment focus only discovering the vulnerability in what? In the information system, meaning the weaknesses, but provide no indication if the vulnerability can be exploited or the amount of damage that may result from what? From the successful exploitation of vulnerability. That is the vulnerability assessment. Penetration testing. Penetration testing is a method approach to security assessment that encompasses the security audit and vulnerability assessment and demonstrate if the vulnerability in the system can be successfully exploited by an attacker. So meaning when you do penetration, you behave the way the hacker do, and you see whether this assessment, if an attacker can successfully exploit these weaknesses, if he can manage to do that. Any queries, any addition, any subtraction, I might even bring that one to differentiate between those three. If I want, I can bring to differentiate too. What is the difference between penetration and vulnerability testing? I can bring that. If I want, I can start with the other one. Or all of them. I'm entitled. Any queries? Any mafunzo? Yes, Barolens.
Yes, sir. If you can clarify on the vulnerability where it says, but provides no indication if the vulnerabilities can be exploited. That sentence.
Which one?
If you can.
On vulnerability?
Yeah, that's where it starts from, but provides no indication and whatever.
So we are saying a vulnerability assessment focuses, this vulnerability assessment focuses on discovering the vulnerability in the information system. You are just focusing on discovering the vulnerability in the information system, but provide no indication if the vulnerability can be exploited. So you see the vulnerability. Oh, there is a vulnerability. But it does not provide that, vulnerability ngaisa attacker kuti ava successful. Is this, it does not indicate. That indication will be now in penetration testing. Here now on the penetration testing, you behave like an hacker now, you are doing it. Here we are just discovering, and you are not sure whether if the hacker does, if the hacker exploits that you don't know whether that person will be successful. That's what we are saying, but does not provide if the vulnerability can be exploited, the amount of damage that may result from successful exploitation of the vulnerability. You don't know. Here you have just discovered that there is a vulnerability here. You don't know how much damage an hacker can do. For example, a woman discovered that nganafala tuma miniskirt, nafala miniskirt, amona ti afinde fala tuma miniskirt limit na ba raped, amona okuti banchita rape ba guys, but she doesn't know how the extent of damage if she's raped, the extent of damage which can occur, she doesn't know. She doesn't know how the extent, but she has discovered that, but you are communicating enough water, but this is a vulnerability. Limbi. I learned about Limbi. But this person doesn't know how, for what extent, what damage can men do that. So even here on vulnerability assessment, you just assess. You discover vulnerability in the information system, but you don't know the extent, the damage which an hacker or a person or the person, the hacker, what damage an hacker can do when he execute that. You don't know. But on the penetration testing, you test the way the hacker can behave, and you do it. That's why they're saying penetration testing methodology approach to security assessment that encompasses the security audit and vulnerability assessment and demonstrate if the vulnerability in a system can be successfully exploited by an attack. So there you assess it. You have done assessment. Now here you have to do it. You behave like an hacker. Okay, yes, I've discovered vulnerability. Now here we want to do it so that we know whether we are going to be successful. Here on the penetration testing, you behave as if you are an hacker because you have already identified vulnerability. Have I made myself clear, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it clear, boss Lawrence Tembo?
Very clear, sir.
At least one of you, you just pass my course. That's all, Mr. Tembo. Not your friend, other people from Eastern, comes a problem. Okay, any queries? Adinet Angomba, are you clear? Adinet, are you clear? Nathan.
Yes,
Nathan,
sir. Clear.
Nathan.
Sir, yes, I have a question. So what happens if now you discover the vulnerability in the system and then the softwares and the equipment you have, they are not able to patch the vulnerabilities in the system?
Yeah. See, they are not able to patch. You don't have. What do you do? You tell the authority to buy. If you that's why those the recommendation reports, we talked about the reports. If your system, for example, for example, your hardware is absolute, nothing you can do. You need just to buy the required hardware. That's why on the first one, we on security audit, we said a security audit just check whether the organization is following what? A set of standard security policy and procedure. That's why audit, you check, this organization following this the auditor comes. They will raise that. But for you, you are supposed to do that job. You check, you do what your job. The job of buying things, it's not your duty. For you, it's just, and then it's up to the authority to buy. If they don't buy, you cite them in the report. Oh, we submitted this. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So that's why they say, like in English, they say if you think that education is expensive, try ignorance. So if they think that buying servers is very expensive, then they are not supposed to invest in information system or technology. because technology has to do with the upgrades. You are supposed to move with time. Is it clear, sir?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Anyone with any doubting Thomas? Doubting Thomas? Addition, subtraction? Okay. Having said that, I think we end here. We'll continue at 17 hours. I can see stroke reading teaming. So you need to know these things. What is these animals? You should know. After this lecture, this lecture, after I finish, I will definitely send you these notes. These are the own notes, very simple notes, very elaborated, and it's quite easy to understand today. Or before we call it a morning.
Okay.
We call it a morning.
Makofi, no queries. Evans Warrior.
No queries,
Abby.
sir.
Maria.
We call it a day.
Maria. Sarifianji.